Tuesday this week marked the second anniversary of the election of the Albanese Labor government, May the 21st, 2022. 2 years on, the Prime Minister released a speech overnight that he delivered today to a forum in Western Sydney. He told the audience at the Western Sydney Leadership Dialogue that he feels the pain of Australians battling cost of living pressures. He played again the kid from public housing card, saying he hasn't forgotten what it's like to struggle and strive. A bit rich coming from a bloke who's been living off the Australian taxpayer for the last 38 years. Albanese was elected in 1996, and when he retires, he will be eligible for a massive, handsome politician's superannuation pension, tax-free for the rest of his life. Struggle and strife can't be too hard living at the Lodge in Canberra and Kirribilli House on Sydney Harbour, never having to pay for electricity or gas or petrol, home insurance, car rego or even groceries. 2 years on, I think we are all over the I grew up in public housing spiel. Yes, Anthony, your mum did a great job raising you as a single mother, but I know plenty of single mothers who've done it tough, and most of them don't feel the need to keep reminding me. I went back this week and I looked at the election night victory speech from the new Prime Minister. It's on YouTube. You should catch it. It hasn't aged well. To be fair, Anthony Albanese could not have predicted the October 7 terrorist attack on Israel last year. But in that speech, Anthony Albanese told the adoring audience, "I want to bring Australia together to promote opportunity and optimism, not fear and division." 2 years on, I'm prepared to declare tonight, I haven't seen Australia as divided today as I ever have in my entire lifetime. I'm old enough to remember the closing days of the division the Vietnam War created, and I was on air on radio in Sydney when the Cronulla riots happened. This is worse. This network will put to air next Tuesday night a documentary fronted by former Coalition Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, a proud Australian Jew. In promotion vision, we see Josh in tears. Australia's been swamped with an outbreak of vicious anti-Semitism, which is getting worse, not better. And yet the bloke who 2 years ago vowed to bring Australia together can't even bring himself to slam the International Criminal Court's announced intention to seek arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for war crimes. If that happens, Netanyahu, if he were to travel to Australia, we would be forced to arrest him. The wobbly, waffling excuse from our Prime Minister when asked this week about this was just plain embarrassing. It has got to the point where there is no longer any doubt about whether Albanese is a leader, let alone the strong leader you need in these fractious times. He is weak. It pains me to say it, but he is. He's captured by his past. The radical left university days, his role on Labor's hard left, and his panic about losing inner city seats in Sydney and Melbourne to the Greens if he sides with Israel too vocally as it defends itself against a terrorist attack, he risks alienating all those university students covering their faces in Arab scarves and shouting from the river to the sea. So what does he do with his 2-year anniversary speech? Well, the same bloke who 2 years ago called for unity to bring Australia together, what does he do? He attacks Peter Dutton. He calls Dutton an anti-business wrecker focused on political self-interest. Talk about kettle black. He says the coalition say no to everything which builds nothing, helps no one and takes our country nowhere. Hardly a speech of inspiration bringing the country together. And what about his first promise 2 years ago? Right off the bat, the very first promise he made, he said, "I will implement the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full," starting, of course, with the divisive Australian Voice referendum. And what did he say about Indigenous Australians, the Voice referendum, Indigenous poverty, Indigenous health outcomes today? Well, in the version of the speech released overnight, and I've now watched it today, he said a big fat nothing.